Don't forget about Asa Senpai there, Rin.
Kaede, 今日は洗濯やめた方がいいと思う。
I think we should just throw it out the window instead.
天気予報か何かやってます？多分、もっと確実。
Throwing them out the window is more reliable.
リンがこんな時間に起きてる。
What do you mean by that?
楓は偉いっていう意味。
I'm sorry, Kana-san. Thank you for always taking care of me.
いいんですよ、リムちゃん。今日は登校日なんです。登校日？はい、夏休み中でも学校に行かなければいけない日です。だからいつも通りに起きないといけないんです。リン、やっぱり正常。用がある時しか早起きしない。でも起こしに行く前に降りてきてくれたのはちょっぴりびっくりしましたけど。
It's a bit like me, really. Just like, if there's something that I have to be awake for, I will wake up at that time, even if I don't get much sleep. I will just like, except on this one occasion, I was like nearly late for like this kind of meeting kind of thing, and it was just like, oh shit, like, and just got ready like that, and then it just like kind of awkwardly actually waiting, and it was just like, we've still got an hour to go. Well, what was with the rush then? But other than that, I just like wake up and it's like, oh fuck it, I'm going back to bed. And then it's just like too warm, and I'm like, oh fuck it, let's get to work. Just like, okay, laptop, same old shit. Uploading in the afternoons, except it was the evening today because I woke up late. I literally slept through the whole morning and afternoon.
リン、病気？
I felt like I was being abused. Had I screwed something up?
なんだ。お前らのことだから別段気にはしてなかったが、やっぱり気にする必要なかったようだな。
Despite being a school day, there wasn't anything special happening. The only thing we had was homeroom, and it left me wondering what the point of coming in at all was.
全員元気で何よりだ。まあ若干一名ばかし気にしたいやつはいるが。
Wait, so they go to school, have homeroom, and then that's it? Really?
緑場、裁判沙汰にはなってないだろうな。
いやー、いくらなんでもそんなバカな真似はしませんよ。ちゃんと処理はしてきましたから安心してください。
What?
後で詳細なレポートにまとめて提出しろよ。本当に安心できるかしっかりチェックしてやる。
俺様の華麗な処理法に思わず惚れてしまったりしないでくださいよ。
惚れたくなるような内容であることを期待させてもらうね。
The day ended after the usual banter and some warnings, as I expected it was a meaningless day. You know, Miss B actually has a route in one of the other versions of Shuffle, but apparently it's fairly short and not very interesting though.
それじゃあまあ、夏休みも残り半分、ゴロゴロしてないで有意義な使い方を考えるように。といったところで、そんな使い方をしてるやつ、毎年片手で数えられるくらいしかいないけどな。夕日に染まった砂浜を東大まで泣きながら全速で走っていくような生徒が欲しいな。
Yeah, dream on. I was on my way home after a pointless morning at school. Kaede had been talked into going to karaoke with Mayumi and her friends. It was still morning and I didn't have a clue what to do with myself. I've never been to karaoke before. You know, I sing a lot randomly in my videos, but I've never done karaoke. As I walked and thought about what I should do when getting home, I heard someone calling me from behind. Well, unless, you know, like, blasting music and singing along counts.
リンちゃん。
I turned around and she was running towards me while waving her hand. Hi, Asa Senpai, are you done too?
やっと終了。 りんちゃんのクラスはいいな。担任なっちゃんでホームルームとかも後腐れなくあっさり終わるでしょ。
As she spoke, she took her usual position on my left. Yeah, the only thing that takes a while is when her and Itsuki battle it out. Your homeroom teacher is... Oh, that's right, you've got Shinoza or whatever for homeroom, right? Yeah, you would drag it out. What's wrong, Asa-senpai? As I spoke, I looked at Asa-senpai. Her cheeks were puffed out like she was pouting.
その呼び方なんかやだな。
What don't you like?
だからその朝先輩っていう呼び方。
You've been calling me that the entire game! Well, it's not my fault, Asa-senpai. I mean, Asa. It's just kind of, your name just doesn't really sound like it stands on its own because you've been saying Asa-senpai this whole time. What's wrong with it? Asa-senpai turned red and spun her fingers in front of her chest. See, even in his mind he calls you that.
だって前までならともかくさ、今の僕たちってほらね、やっぱりその先輩とか後輩とかじゃなくて、だからはいもう一回僕のこと呼んでみて。
Asa-senpai. When I said it, she frowned and glared at me. She parted her lips. She entangled her right arm with my left and pushed her body right up against mine. He always has a kind of what the hell kind of look on his face. What? Asa-senpai?
先輩禁止。
What?
だからもう先輩って呼ぶの禁止。
Her long and slender finger tapped me on the forehead.
先輩後輩の中じゃないんだよもう。
But...
先輩禁止。今度先輩なんて呼んだら逃げちゃうからね。
Then what should I do when you come back to me then?
いいの。会いたくなった時には僕の方から一方的に捕まえちゃうんだから。
You know, a better way of it is, for every time you call me senpai, I'm gonna kick you in the balls. Okay.
分かったんだったら、はい。
She looked at me again, her eyes full of expectation. I coughed once and spoke. Asa-san. She responded with unbelievable joy, which almost made me feel
今度
embarrassed.
からは絶対にそう呼ぶようにね。じゃないと返事してあげないから。
I answered with a wry smile. Okay, Asa-san. Oops, no, Asa-san.
はーい。りんちゃん、もう一回。
What? Again?
もう一回呼んで。
Asa-san?
まだちょっと硬いかな。もう一回。
Asa-san.
もう一声。
Asa-san.
もう一回言ってみよう。
More, Asa-san. As her smile grew bigger, she grabbed my arm even harder. My heart skipped a beat when I could smell Asa's sweet scent.
りんちゃん、
Yes, Asa-san?
恋人同士。
She snuggled up to me like I was her puppy dog. It was then that I realized how much my heart has already belonged to her. So now we'll be referring to her as Asa-san. Just doesn't sound the same, does it? The sun was starting to set and it was finally cooling off. A breeze so cool it made it hard to believe how hot the day had been occasionally blew through. The noisy kids running around the neighborhood were all gone, they'd probably all gone home. I walked through the residential area with a newly bought magazine in my hand. What's that? I saw two familiar figures crossing the street in front of me. You know, this is, like I've said throughout this entire route so far, this is very different to Kaede's route. Kaede's route was like, it had, well, that escalated quickly. Vision 1 and 2, right after each one, and then it had plot, and then it ended. This one is had plot, and then it had, well, that escalated, did it escalate quickly or not? Because there was some build-up for the relationship, at least. But still, And then after that, plot, and there hasn't been that escalated quickly, Vision 2. So it's actually quite different. At this hour, did I imagine it? Tilted my head and ran away. Ran after them to make sure. I knew it, I was right. There wasn't anything particularly odd about them walking together, but the meek aura around them made me worry. They weren't even saying anything, they were just walking silently. I followed them, doing my best to stay hidden. A few stars were starting to twinkle in the orange sky. It was definitely Asan and Kaede they were alone in the park sitting silently on a bench. I remained equally silent as I continued watching.
ごめんね、楓。
Asan began speaking in a sad voice.
いえ、いいんです。リン君が自分で選んでくれたんですから。
I finally understood what was going on as I watched Kaede speak through a sad smile. What they wanted to talk about and what they felt.
それに、私は決めていましたから。何があっても、リン君を愛し続けます。楓、私、本当はずるいんですよ。ずるいからダメなんです。楓はどこもずるくなんか。いえ、皆さんがただ知らないだけです。本当の私は。
Kaede shook her head a little and looked up at the sky without finishing her sentence.
でも、リン君が好きになってくれた人がアサ先輩でよかった。アサ先輩とだったら、リン君絶対に幸せになってくれますよね。どちらかというと、僕の方が幸せにされちゃうと思う。リン君のこと、本当に好きになってくれたんですね。僕も驚いてる。リン君、私のせいでずっと苦しんできたから。だからその分も、リン君のこと、幸せにしてあげてください。
I could hear her voice shaking a little. I knew Kaede loved me, I knew which is why I didn't go any further with her. Didn't dislike her or anything, but I couldn't choose her. I didn't choose her, because that was the previous one. Every word Kaede said stabbed at my heart. I wished I could cover my ears and leave. I wish I hadn't heard any of this. But I had to hear it as a coward who knew about her feelings and kept running away. I needed to hear how she felt. Let my heart absorb every meaningful word she spoke while clenching my teeth.
でも、一つだけ、わがままを言わせてください。見てるだけで、いいんです。見てるだけですから、リン君のこと、好きでいさせてください。ずっと、好きなままで。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。私、ずるくて。リン君の気持ちも、アサ先輩の、わかって。なのに、好きで、好きなまま。楓、ごめんね。本当に、ごめんね。僕だよ。本当にずるいの。僕。
Asa-san clenched her fists as she spoke with a shaky voice. Kaede grabbed onto her and confessed.
好きです。好きなんです。好き。だから。
second time I'd hear Kaede cry like that. First time was when her beloved mother passed away. She cried so hard it seemed like all the water in her entire body came out as tears. And now it was happening again. Why wasn't I there? Why was I hiding like this? If I was there, I could have comforted her. She could have yelled at me too. I should have been the one getting punished. These two hadn't done anything wrong, yet they were the ones crying like that. This shouldn't have happened. Since when had I felt it was natural to be with Kaede? I didn't even remember when we first met and became friends. We ate our meals together, played outside together, took baths together. As long as she was next to me, everything was fine. I wanted Kaede to smile, so I forced myself to smile. Even when I was sick with a cold, even when my favorite toy got broken, even when my parents died, I kept smiling. That was the promise I made, the promise I kept all those years. Even during those years we didn't get along and past few years when she started smiling again, I never forgot about that promise. Sorry, Kaede. Those are just words. Words to forgive myself and words to satisfy myself. But that's all I can think of. We'll always be together. That's what I promised her. The promise I broke. Sorry, Kaede. I made the decision. I chose someone else. I chose a different way. I was sure of my choice. I didn't regret whom I chose. But I couldn't keep my promise as a result. Some desolate orange clouds floated across the sky. Her cry echoing through the air broke my heart. Feels. I could have totally ruined that scene though, cause I guess in the visual novel, Kaede doesn't actually have a yandere side. In the anime version, she apparently does. So I just figured when they just talk like that, but there's this one thing, you must die now! Ah! Just like school days level shit go on. You're just no! I'm glad that she hasn't got yandere mode in this, because seriously, school days level of that is just ugh. It's more crowded than I thought. I saw a mother and son playing ball, an old man walking his dog, a man jogging, a woman reading a book, and a couple having a fun conversation. There were just a few of the people I noticed with a couple of glances, so I'm sure there were a lot more people at the park that day. Pardon me. I always thought parks were for children and bad salesmen killing time, but it turned out I was very wrong. In reality, they were a free gathering place for anybody who wants to be there. Wait, it's like saying parks are for kids and bad salesmen, did he say? That seems weird, just combine those two, yeah, now I picture bad salesmen trying to sell stuff to kids. And that kinda included us too. As we walked, I looked at Asan, whose arm was wrapped around mine. She noticed me and looked over. As her eyes met, a bashful smile spread across her face.
こうして考えてみると、実は初めてのデートなんだよね、これ。
You're right. As I look back over the prior month with Asan, I was a little surprised myself. Isn't this the same place where Kaede and Rin had their first date as well and they're out? We used to go out all the time, so I hadn't really paid much attention. But this was our first official date. Feels like we were on a date the whole time.
実は僕もだったりして。昨日ね、これで何回目かなって数えてて、突然気づいちゃった。
I felt a little embarrassed, so I turned away from her while feeling her weight on my left arm. I looked around the park. I saw a salaryman get up, leaving an empty bench. Despite being big enough for 4 people, we made a beeline for it and took our seats.
はい。
Asa-san took a small package out of the basket that was in her hand. She opened it and I saw a mound of cookies. Cookies! They were the ones she was famous for. Their taste was guaranteed. Whoa, yes! I love your cookies! They're even better than the ones at the bakeries.
そう思ってもらえると、僕も作りがいがあるかな。でも、もう男子ではリンちゃん以外は食べられないと思うよ。だって、リンちゃん以外にあげる気ないもん。
I'm very relieved to hear that.
でも本当のこと言うとね、りんちゃん以外で個人的にクッキー作ってあげた男の人ってお父さんしかいなかったりして、僕のクッキーずっとりんちゃんのリザーブでした。どうしたのりんちゃん、ぼーっとしちゃって。
No, nothing. I'm so happy I felt busy. So she means she hasn't given these cookies to anyone else, right? That's Asan. I'm so touched. That's a guy.
それじゃあ、はい。
Her fragile fingers picked up a cookie and brought it to my mouth. Ah.
焼きたて食べてほしくてね、朝ちょっと頑張ってきました。
Did she want me to eat it out of her hand? Though it was only a few, there were still people around. Doing something like this in public might be a bit much.
りんちゃん
No, I'm extremely happy, but there are too many people around and... what I'm trying to say is... Asan blinked a few times. She smiled mysteriously. This was the face she made when thinking of something evil.
じゃあ、こんなのはどう
You fool, now you've set her off. As Asan put half the cookie in her mouth and brought the other half close to mine. What? This can't be! This is just like drinking from one glass with two straws. It's a dating must-do! Usually you'd use a long wafer, but I didn't see why this wouldn't do. But maybe that only works because it's a long cookie. What'll happen if we try it with such a small one? This is too dangerous. This is way too dangerous! Asan, this is... Her dewy eyes full of expectation were waiting for my response. She was waiting for me to eat the cookie. What if I don't eat it? Do I betray her and her puppy dog eyes? But this is in public place. But if I don't eat it, that means I lose. It was only natural when Asan was my opponent. I made my decision and put my hands on her shoulders. As Asan closed her eyes. Our faces awkwardly grew closer. It was different from when we were trying to kiss, and the excitement raised the temperature of our faces. I slowly gripped my half of the cookie with my teeth and I crushed a part of it in my mouth and returned it to hers. She looked at me. This was the first time I'd eaten a cookie that way.
自分で望んでなんなんだけど、恥ずかしいねこれ。でもいつもよりずっと美味しく食べられた気がする。もう一枚。
Asan said bashfully but happily. Please, not in front of the others. This isn't an easy way to eat while trying to control myself. I'm doing my best to behave.
え？あ、ひょっとして元気になっちゃって。
What? She looked at my crotch and started to blush. I nodded silently to reply.
ごめんね。
The classic outdoor awkward boner.
男の子だもんね。そうだよね。そっか。そうなんだ。元気に。
She kept picking at my crotch. Stop looking down there. Sorry, but doing that only makes it worse.
りっちゃんだ。
Oops. A sweet and youthful voice called out to me in front of the Shigiri residence. It came from the lady who'd surely be taken as a subject if research into spells for eternal youth were so commenced. Hello?
今日はあーちゃん？
Yeah, is she up?
もちろん。あー、そっか。それでなんだ。今日は朝から張り切ってケーキ作ってたんだけど、あーちゃんとっても女の子。
Asan smiled happily while thinking about her daughter.
でも残念。せっかくりっちゃん来てくれたのに、 僕、これから出かけないといけないの。
That sounds awfully suspicious for a certain scene to happen, doesn't it? I just know it, man. It seems very much likely.
いろいろとお話聞きたかったんだけど、仕方ないから、今日のおもてなしはあーちゃんに全部お任せ。
Okay.
それじゃあね、りっちゃん。今度こそは僕がいる時に来て。
Asan flashed me a pretty smile and bowed before she left. Entertain me, huh? Should I expect something? We'll be alone too. Well, it shouldn't be a problem after all. We are a couple, and besides, even her mother knows about us. But does she know to that extent? Maybe I'll ask her to entertain me after all.
大きいんだね。
What? On an afternoon in August, the sun was shining through the window. It was the last day of our summer break. My lover was staring at my penis. What? I was like, when he said that, I was just like, wait, you don't mean that, right? Surely it's like one of those misunderstandings, but it was? What? She said yes when I asked her to give me what I wanted on the condition that I let her gaze at my thing as much as she wanted. What? Really embarrassed. I tried to hide it by closing my eyes like a girl, but Asa-san put a stop to me with a cool face.
こんなのが僕に入ってたんだ。
God, this is awkward. Well, I think it's about average. There are incredibly huge ones out there.
そうなの？
I didn't know how to respond. I'd never seen another guy's junk. Anyway, I nodded to comfort her.
だったら、りんちゃんがこのサイズでよかったかな。もっと大きかったら、多分僕、一生受け入れられなさそう。
I don't know what to say. What? What? Okay.
ハロー、りんちゃん。
There was a bit of oral. Then it escalated quickly to the door. Literally just they were getting it on right against the door. Seriously, what if someone saw that? And then like some comment, I wasn't really paying attention, but it was like something about like I might get pregnant, you know. He's like, wait, what? And then just like, well, since like all that, what? Let's want to do it again. Just like, dude, is this gonna end with her getting pregnant and you dropping out of school? Because that's kind of a weird way to end it. If that happens, I can't remember. I don't know. I walked arm in arm before with Asa-san, but this time it was definitely different. Asa-san grabbed my arm and pulled up right next to me. It was a little embarrassing to walk like this in front of someone I knew, but at the same time it was nice to feel her warmth. Kaede had already left with a smile as soon as she finished preparing my breakfast. Still funny to see Primula looking at us so strangely,
夏
though.
休みも終わっちゃったね。
A short and busy second term will begin again. Sad to think that midterms are right around the corner. As soon as we got close to the academy gate, people were looking at us from all directions. I guess we made an odd couple to them, and that's exactly what I heard amongst the whispers.
朝ちゃん、兄さん、おはようございます。カレハ、おはよう。
Ohio, Kareya Senpai. It seems like it's been forever since I last saw you in your uniform.
そうかもしれませんわね。アルバイトが楽しかったものですから、後半はプールもあまり行ってませんでしたもの。でも、朝ちゃんの姿見ていらしたんですの？
Oh, so plenty, but not in the uniform. I didn't see her in a uniform, but it was hanging in a room.
ひょっとしてりんちゃん、あれ見て想像してたの？
Well, actually, I was picturing it in my mind.
もう、りんちゃんって本当に男の子なんだから。お二人とも、本当にお似合いですわね。
Either way, do you know what about Asa-san and me?
もちろん、朝 朝ちゃんから伺っておりますわ。それはもう本当に嬉しそうに。そうそう、まだちゃんと言わせていただいていませんでしたわね。朝ちゃんも兄さんも本当におめでとうございます。
Her words were matched by $1 million smile.
よくやった土見。俺はお前を見直した。
よく頑張った。感動した。お前の勇気あふれる選択はバーベナ学園史において永久に語り継がれるだろう。
Weren't these the same students that were all like, "We hate you"?
そうだ、これこそが正しい姿。これこそが自然の摂理。信じて待ち続けた甲斐があったというものだ。
Or they just happy they chose someone they didn't really have much interest in?
バンザイバンザイバンザイ。
After first period was over, a bunch of guys came up to me and asked to shake my hand. Shedding crocodile tears, they firmly shook hands with me. What's going on with them?
もちろん親衛隊の連中だろうね。リンが三大プリンセスの誰も選ばなかったと聞いて
Yeah, that's
喜ん
what
でる
I
のさ。
thought. Just like, you didn't choose any of them. Oh, thank God.
もっともしぐれ先輩だってあの容姿にあの気さくな性格だ。隠れファンは結構いたみたいだから涙雨も降ってるみたいだけれど。ぶっ殺すぞチミ。俺はお前を見損なった。
ふざけるな。激高した。お前の非道なる選択はバーベナ学園黒歴史において永久に語り継がれるだろう。
そうだ、貴様には白い屍こそが正しい姿。これこそが自然の摂理。いつの日にかと牙を研ぎ続けてきた甲斐があったというものだ。
やるやるやる。
Well, that's very different. As soon as third period ended, a bunch of guys came over to me and stared at me with eyes that looked ready to shed some bloody tears. Actually, I think some of them actually were crying blood. What's their problem? Weren't they, like, praising him in the first one?
まあ間違いなく親衛隊の連中だね。さっき三大プリンセスが呼び出されたって話だから何かあったんじゃないかな。
不要楓。それでも私にはリンくんしかいませんから、リンくんが許してくれる限り私はリンくんだけに尽くしていきたいです。ごめんなさい。リシアンサス、深海って一夫多妻制なんです。だからリンくんがいいって言ってくれるなら私は気にしません。リンくんについていきたいです。ねりね、私にはリン様しかいらっしゃいませんからごめんなさい。以上、先ほど行われた三大プリンセス告白大会からでした。今こそって意気込みで告白して全員玉砕したらしいのですよ。ある意味今までよりも諦めつかなくなったんじゃない？
玉砕理由が今のじゃね。リン、墓標に刻む言葉は何がいい？
Hey, come on. That's what you want on your tombstone? Hey, come on. It's like, hey, come on. That's your lies written to Jimmy or whatever. Oh, come on. It sure is hard to sit through class after a 6-week break. My concentration levels were down and it felt like torture to sit at my desk and stare at the blackboard for over an hour. Hey, I told you last time. Who gives a shit? I barely make any references here. The best remedy would be to just go home and go to sleep without making any stops out the way back home. I was already lacking sleep because I had to get up early for school, and I did indeed go straight home, not letting the adaptations I did for me. But when I got home, I saw people waiting in front of the house. It's the same scene again, where it'll be like, hey, you know, they're just like, things different in our world, so yeah, it could still work, right? I have no idea, man. It's so confusing. But I'm gonna call it a day here, so I'll see you next time here. See you next time.